It is amateur. It is kindergarten level. Legs hit the chest, hit everywhere. Ah! This way. All right. In the last video, I went over why dogs pulling out and going crazy at the end of a leash is not good in protection training. It is amateur. It is kindergarten level. And again, we all do it in the beginning, very, very beginning, because it's a kindergarten step, okay? The pulling at the end, dragging a trainer or an owner, right, towards somebody, working the bites, all amateur, beginner level, kindergarten level protection training, okay? But all trainers sell this type of dog, right? Like that's an end product. It's a beginner step, not an end product, okay? For many reasons. With this leash pulling stuff, okay? The big factor here, okay, besides that most people can't control them, when they're bouncing out there, okay? You are putting the dog's life at risk, okay? So when they have that dog bouncing out there on the end of the line, you are hanging the dog out there to be battered, okay? So what do we all do in protection? Who does protection dogs for a living? Well, we have to test the dogs, right? We have to make sure that they could take pressure. So we use objects, soft objects that are not going to hurt the dog at all, and we touch them with the objects. So in real life, if you let your dog go to the end of a leash like this, and you're just letting him post there, hanging, and he can't go any further, instead of that little yellow thing, the pool noodle that we're using that's very soft and can't even feel it, if I had a bat in my hand, a metal pipe in my hand, I'm going to go to town on that dog because you're doing it for me. You're posting him there on the end of that line so I could just have a free-for-all beating him in the head. Beat that dog, right? Knock his teeth out. I'm going to knock him senseless. Might even break one of his legs. I'm going to put this dog out of commission, right, if I was an attacker. So it makes no sense, right, that one, that trainers have never thought of this, right, and they continue to sell dogs that bounce on the end of a leash as if there is no weapon that's going to hurt the dog, no real threat, right? And that somebody's just going to go in and just give them a forearm, right? And let them bite it at the end of the line. So it blows my mind that trainers sell dogs like this still till today and do it over and over and over and over, right? Thinking that this is what a real protection dog is, right? Just blows my mind. 200 years of this. And it hasn't gone any further, and nobody's ever thought of the fact that if there's a weapon in that hand and you have him hung out there, he's going to get beat to death. Okay? Now, here's where the cute stuff comes in, right? Also, the countering, right, of the trainers that hold on the leash like that and do that for a living. Okay? They think that, well, if the attacker starts there and has a weapon, I'm going to lead him in. And not so much hit the body, hit the legs, hit the chest, hit everywhere. This way. Right? Closer. Right? Right? Let the dog go in. And we'll just batter him as he's coming in and giving space as you're trying to walk him in. All right? That's not going to work either. Okay? And they're all thinking, well, here we start. You don't want the threat. If you don't back off from the threat and try to hit the dog, I'm going to go further in and let the dog pursue you. Right? While he's getting battered. Right? Closer. Right? And then have it let go because he's getting battered and let him really get into the fight and get the person. Right? By that time, the dog has already been battered. He's never going to be able to think again. He probably has no teeth. Okay? That's all great and dandy if there's no weapon at all, right? There's no weapon in the person at all of a threat to the dog, right? All great and dandy, right? If I have a knife, I'm just going to, as he's at the end of that line, can't come any further, I'm going to bait the dog, right? Here, I'm going to put a hand over here, see if he falls for it. And most are going to do it. They're going to go for the hand that's closest, that's hanging out there. It's like snake charming, right? Here he is, he's going up, I have the knife, wham, wham, right? It's easy stuff, right, to hurt a dog like that. You're just, by hanging him on the end of the line like that, you're just giving power to the attacker. All right? And again, that drag-in stuff, right? Closer, right? Is not good and not going to work if there's true weapons involved. Okay, so all of this thoughtlessness is just Mickey Mouse stuff, okay? And this is putting a dog in danger. It's out of control training. There's no skill to it. It's just kindergarten stuff, lowest level of protection dog training that you can be doing, okay? And again, that's what the whole protection world does. Right? It just blows my mind that there's been no thought to this, no creativity, right? No thinking of actual scenarios of what would happen in life with these kind of things. Okay? So again, not only do we have from the get-go, most women can't handle them. Children, forget it. I don't care, right? And I see tons of people buying $150,000 dogs that do just this, and that's all they do, no skill at all, and think that their teenage daughters, right, are going to be able to handle these power dogs, right, when they turn them on, if there's a threat. So, I went over a whole thing in another video on this, right? People falling down from the power, skidding on the ground, having to let go. They can't hold on, then the dog goes and attacks the person. Lawsuits, all sorts of things. It's just a mess, right? It's just a mess. So now, let's get a little further into this of why in my system we don't ever on a finished dog going to let them off that leg, okay? So if you watch our other protection videos without leashes on, you don't have to do anything, the dog does it. They hold themselves at that heel leg. They know not to leave it, right? Unless we tell them they can. So it's major control as well as keeping the dog safe. Okay? Because when the dog is at the leg and he's staying here, nobody can beat them. Right? They're here, they're steady, they're in place, they're ready for the attack, and you're going to get one swing at this. Not boom, 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 as he's hanging out there on the end of a line, just vulnerable. Okay? So trust me, and I've said in the other videos, knife, weapon, whatever, just no weapons if you want to go to punch. Whatever you're going to do, you're not getting it on our dogs, right? You're not going to touch us. They're going to hit you so fast first, the moment you take a swing, one swing, you're never getting that swing through.
Good girl. Good girl.
Oh, good girl. Good girl. Right? You're just never going to reach us. It's not going to happen. And you are going to pay a very high price for that attempt. I'm going to show you what happens now as well if there's two attackers and one protection dog. Right off the bat, it's very, very difficult, okay, for one dog to guard two people. So you have to come up with the absolute best way possible to make this scenario safe while being attacked by two people. Okay? Very difficult to defend. Okay? So, I'm just going to show you when you have one dog, protection dog, trained, we're talking, and they go out there at the end of a leash like most protection dogs do in life. When the dog goes out to the end of the leash like that, it is leaving the owner exposed. Just another reason why the end of the line protection training is not good for real life. It is not functional. It is not fun to do if you're an owner with a power dog. Many, many, many reasons, okay? But we're talking now safety. So, the dog leaving the owner all the way out there at the end of the leash is making the owner vulnerable to the second attacker. Now, I don't care what breed you own. I don't care how trained the dog is, because the dog I'm going to show you here is as high trained as Earth has ever had. And you're going to see here, when she gets out at the end of that line, I'm allowing her to do this now, right? When she goes out to the end of that line, this is the only time that we've allowed her to do this, okay? Not allowed in my system, so she was a little confused about us allowing her out there at the end of the line to defend the attacker. But I was just doing it for video purposes to show you, okay? And we're talking a highly, highly elite trained protection dog here using in this scenario, 2 attackers, and you're going to see when dogs lock on to one person, they are not going to worry about the second attacker by nature. Okay? That's just the way dogs are. They're not thinking like a human. Uh-oh, there's another person. He's coming around the back. Now, keep in mind, in this scenario, we made it even easier for the dog, right? Just to show you what would happen, okay? And how this really works. So I started the 2 attackers out to her front and had one go around to the back in her eyesight, right? Clear view of watching the other attacker go around where she was clearly aware that he went around to the back. Not a decoy there, an attacker, and a decoy starting from over there, right to the back. I'm making it even easier and more obvious to the dog, right? Of what are you going to do if I put 2 attackers in your eyesight right now to start out in your front? What's going to happen with a phenomenally trained dog when the second attacker goes around? Okay? So what does she do? She locks onto one attacker like all dogs do. Okay? Once they get their mind set on one person, they are not going to worry about the second attacker. They are mentally dug in now to kill mode on that one individual. They are not thinking, uh-oh, that one, where's the other one? I got to worry about the 2 of them. What if this one goes and attacks my owner? There's not even a thought in their mind about worrying about the owner right now. Or even having those kind of thoughts of what if, what a possibility, right? Oh, the second one can actually get into my owner. The dog is single-minded right now. So once they pinpoint on somebody, that's it. They're dug in now. So they're going to take on this one person for sure. And the other one, the owner's on their own. Okay? And you see here the other attacker coming up my back and just touching me. Right? Just to prove that if you allow a dog all the way out to the end of a line away from you, and this is as high of a trained dog as you can get, the thought of her coming out and trying to defend 2 is 99% improbable. Okay? You may get a dog every once in a while that's highly, highly sensitive and alert to things that might go back and forth, but that is not the majority by any means. Okay? So, pretty much, the owner is going to have to deal with the second attacker when the dog is out at the end of the leash, away from the body, dug into one attacker, because that's what's going to happen. They lock in, and it's now the dog on that attacker and you on the other attacker, unless this is taught properly. So, how do we make this right? What is the only way to guard 2 attackers? It's to have the dog stay at that leg again. Do not leave the body. Okay? A dog going all the way out there is making space and vulnerability. Okay? Even if they try to guard 2 attackers, just a little lapse in attention or too much focus on one decoy can bring the other attacker in. All right? So, the dog staying at the leg and having to learn on command to switch to look at the back, to look at the front.
Protect! Protect! Protect!
Okay, this is the only way an owner is going to possibly get out of this scenario without being touched. Okay, this is the only way. So, this person from the front, the dog is threatening. We switch the dog to the back to the other threat. We put a hold on that. We switch them back. So, the dog doing this is putting a hesitation. In the two attackers, right? Of not getting too close, either one of them. Now, in this scenario, if the owner is going to really get attacked by either individual, the first person, the first attacker, to make an attempt is going to get mauled. Okay? So, one of the two attackers has to be brave enough to take a life-altering punishment. All right, they're going to have to choose who is going to get a severe beat down and permanent damage. Okay? So it's almost like choosing to sacrifice your life to let the other person in. So, this is a hard choice, right? The attackers can see the dog is trained. When they see the dog is listening like this, they know high probability this dog knows how to bite. And he's been trained to attack. So, which one is it going to be? Now, in a lot of circumstances with this, nobody's going to come in and attack if they are sane, okay? And they are not drugged up. They are not high on things, all right? So understand the difference, right? If they're clear-minded doing a robbery or an attack or whatever they're going to do, one of these two has to be absolutely insane, risking bodily damage for life, okay? That's going to happen to them. So, not a good risk. Now, if one does attack, very quickly we would have the owner move out, away fast, away from between the two, and get out. Because we just need seconds of an attack on that first person. The owner getting out and away, the second attacker is going to have to pursue, giving time to the dog to put real fast pain and damage. We're talking 3 to 5 seconds, right, is all it takes. Now, call the dog off that attacker and now go defend the owner who just fled away, and defend from the second attacker, hopefully before the attacker gets to the owner. Okay? This is the only way that an owner can escape without any harm. Okay? And the dog with no harm. The beauty now of a dog attaching to the body, okay, is knowing how to walk backwards, knowing how to attach in any direction that we've shown in all the other videos that our dogs do, that a lot of trainers laugh at, not understanding the complexness and high-level skill and reality-based understanding of what we have taught them, right, that applies to real life. And again, we do nothing that doesn't apply to real-world scenarios. Okay? So, the dog attaching and knowing how to walk backwards with the owner, or sideways, or on the legs, like we've shown in all the other videos. Back to that beginning step of if the two attackers are coming in and the dog is going back and forth, and they are hesitating to that, neither one really wants to take that risk right now, and the dog has been holding them off. Okay? Giving time. Because they have not decided, either of them, that they want to be the one to take the punishment. So, now, being here and doing this has held off the attackers. Okay? Giving a lot of time to the owner to make decisions. So, if they have not attacked yet, the owner can easily just walk out of the middle of those two and move out right away and make a triangle, and now the dog can clearly see the two out in front and the owner's moving away, all right, and getting out of the scenario. So since we have two attackers who are very indecisive about wanting to get mauled, this has held the whole scenario off. Nobody can get in. The dog is aware of both attackers. One is not sneaking in, right, without damage. And they're not off the body out there at the end of a leash, giving the second attacker the advantage and the capability of getting in on the owner when the dog's not paying attention, all the way out there away from the body. All right? So that owner who just moved out with the dog following without being like this and having the dog going crazy in evolution, the dog's energy is pulling them towards the attackers and the owner's trying to get away with chaos. lack of skill. All right, making things hard for the owner because they have chaos on their hands right now with their dog going into a frenzy. Making things smooth and easy. The dog's just going to follow, keep the threat, keep their eye on the two. If one goes around, the dog will now start to pay attention to both at the same time, even if it's different directions. Okay? But again, the attackers have already chosen not to jump in yet. So highest probability is once the owner slips out, they're going to give this up, that this is the wrong person to attack. It was never going to be that easy, and somebody's going to, both are in high likeliness to get severely life-altering damage. Okay? So that backwards walking and holding the body allows the owner to gently and smoothly get out of this situation. And that leg game did not allow the attackers any leeway or space to get in on the owner and get cute with this, right? So another reason why dogs being out at the end of a leash going crazy and barking and spit flying is not good for real life at all. Okay? There is no skill to that whatsoever.